Shabbat Shalom to everybody here and to everybody that's viewing along the ways. My name is, let me give you the lengthy version, abbreviated lengthy version. My name is Khazaqyah bin Israel, and I started out, and Josiah can bear witness that when I first came into this walk, my name was Yaresh. Remember? And it was a growing process because, and I just want to kind of give my testimony so everybody can, and I like really people giving testimony because you never know who's watching and where they are in their walk. And so when they hear your testimony, and I want to get your testimony, of course, and then it will help them to develop in their growth where they are spiritually. So I I'm a pastor's son. My dad was a non-denominational pastor. And so those of you that know anything about churches, you know, non-denominational churches are those that don't want to be associated with those structurized Methodists or structurized Baptists or whatever, because they feel like that the spirit, the liberality of the spirit is not present. So that's why they call us some non-denomination. We don't have any program, we don't have any records. You know, we go by the spirit, right? So I came up in that kind of church. My dad was a pastor. And I started out at 9 years old, about 8 or 9 years old, as a gospel musician, playing the keyboard. And I consider myself to be the best. I'm a little older now, so I don't have that braggadocious spirit, but when I was playing, right, I was a bad boy. I'll put it like that. That's just how we called it. I mean, when I would play the organ and keyboard, you would see smoke coming from the keyboard. That's how confident I was in my playing. But be that as it may, so I started about 9 years old playing the organ at my dad's church. I'm not going to go off into all the detail of the musical background and the people that I played with and all of that. That's not the gist of this dissertation. So at an early age, and I can relate to Brother Wayman, at an early age, the Most High started dealing with me in a very different way. Although I was in a Christian church environment, my upbringing was of such that I always felt like I was a misfit. Anybody know what I'm talking about? A misfit? You feel like you don't fit in with everybody else. You're going through the motions. Everybody's in church. Jump up, sit down, spin around. I wasn't in that circle. I just couldn't feel it. You know, it was something different about me, and I wanted to belong. Right. And I remember as a kid, I went to a holy roller church, they call Holiness Church, where people fall on the Spirit and they call on, you know, JC, and the ushers got the paper towels and they wiping the saliva off your mouth and call them faster. That's the kind of church I came up in. And so I wanted so bad to belong in that environment, so I faked the shout. You might know anything about shouting? I got on like I was just doing a couple minutes ago, trying to do anyway. I got on the altar and started shouting, and I was feeling good, man. I decided I wouldn't be like everybody else, so all of a sudden I just took my hands off the altar and just went freestyle. Bam! Fell over the altar. And that was the end of my dancing. That was the end of me trying to be like everybody else. Because I realized that, because everybody taught back then, you know, they used the story about Dawid, how he danced in the spirit. So in order for you to be in the spirit, you had to have your eyes closed, something had to come over you, right, and you wouldn't get hurt because you're in the spirit. Right. So that's how I came up, right? And so at a small age, I started playing the keyboard, and which gave me exposure to a lot of other church organizations. And so I started getting around to play at Methodist churches. And they would always read Exodus chapter 20, the 10 Commandments. And as they would read the 10 Commandments, I started getting conviction because I would see things in there that I really didn't see implemented in the church. Right. They would read it, it was like there and was gone. And then they got to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall a man labor, and the seventh day. Now, I've always been an analytical person, so I looked at my calendar, and on the calendar, it said Sunday was 1, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I said, the seventh day. I said, and then, in Christian church, they teach you Sunday's the first day of the week, right? So I started asking questions. I said, when is the seventh day? And the Methodist preacher I was playing for, he said Saturday. I said, interesting, because you all read every Sunday, remember the seventh day, but here we are on the first day. Sunday. I said, that's confusing to me, because it's right here. This book doesn't change. Remember the seventh day. And so the answer was given to me was, young man, now, excuse me for using this language, so all those of you all that came from that circle know where I'm coming from. The Lord, he rose on the first day of the week. And, yeah, I got to use all that theatrics. And we celebrate the first day of the week. You get a sermon when you ask the question, right? Because he rose on Easter Sunday morning. And this is what he said, praise God for deliverance from the bondage of the law. This is what the Reverend told me at an early age. I was probably by this time about 15 maybe years old. So that bothered me, because I'm like, this man just lied to me right here. I'm reading it, but he's telling me that we delivered from it. Right. And so I asked another question. I said, well, who changed it? Because I'm reading here, it says 7 days. Who changed it? He said, the church changed it in honor of the resurrection of our Lord. So we worship on the first day of the week. So that bothered me all through my teen years. And then when I went away to college, I was exposed to it again. Remember the seventh day. And it seemed like the Most High had been dealing with me at an early age. Right. So by this time, I became an inspired minister. Anybody know anything about inspired minister? From this time, I graduated from college, or left college, moved to Philadelphia, and I had become a part of the Church of God in Christ, Koji. And so now I'm young and coming up, inspired minister, as they call it, inspired. You got an inspiration. You're not licensed yet. You're inspired minister, right? So I'm reading, and I asked the question again. Who changed the seventh day? Now, brother. We don't want to get off into that now. This is the New Testament now. We're under the New Testament. The new dispensation. The old covenant is done. Right. We're in the New Testament now. So now all this is going on. So now the Most High is dealing with me, right, about this Shabbat and the seventh day. And so when I finally I got licensed in Church of God in Christ, I started teaching the seventh day was the Sabbath, and we need to change it back to the day. I started getting heat because my bishop, and if you know anything about Church of God in Christ, very political. They called the bishop down on me. And the bishop sat on the front row. They had me specifically set me up to preach. And they had me had the bishop sitting on the front row and had me go speak. So I started speaking, and the things that the Most High had revealed to me at the time, I started sharing. And the bishop looked at me, shook his head, and he said, my. My bishop was Bishop O.T. Jones. Anybody know anything about Koji? Bishop O.T. Jones was the son of the second founder of Church of God in Christ, which is Charles Mason, and his father, O.T. Jones, was second. He was second in command. He was the son of him. Okay. So he was impressed that I wasn't going from a script, but I would just read the text and just expound on what I read. I'm just reading now. I'm not really a teacher. Me and Josiah had the same spirit. I'm not a teacher. I just read the scriptures and just expound on what I read. Just that simple. So he said to me, son, he said, I want you to pastor one day. I said, knowing all the stuff that I believe you want me to pastor? And so by this time, I was working for the school district of Philadelphia. And there was an old looking, I like Josiah, it was an old looking cat. He had on the overalls, right? He was dressed down all the way to his shoe with overalls, looked like a prophet with overalls on. He came over to me. He looked at me. He had an old Bible, all cracked up and looked like it had been used up. He walked over to me because by this time I was a street preacher. I would go out on the street with the bullhorn and holler and preach, holler, scream, right? So he said, "You got a lot of zeal." He said, I want to ask you a question." He walked over to me. He said, "Who are the children of Israel?" And I said, "The Jews." So he said, let me show you something here. So he pulled the Deuteronomy 28. He said, let's go to Deuteronomy 28. So he read Deuteronomy 28, read a couple passages in there. You all that know about the identity know that's the Hebrew Israelite 101 identity chapter. And a lot of people get stuck there and never go any further.
Right.
That's another lesson, right? But so he read Deuteronomy 28. He said, where he read that they shall put a yoke of iron around your neck, right? And he said, and you shall be sold. Well, I don't want to miss
unto your enemies.
Unto your enemies. Yes, buying men and buying women.
Right.
He said, who does that sound like? I said, that sounds like us. So he walked away. So I was in the parking lot preaching again, had my bullhorn, we were going preaching to everybody. Then he came back the next time and saw me and said, who the children of Israel? I said, the Jews. He took me back to Deuteronomy 28 and took me to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Right. They shall go back into Egypt and ship. We got a whole nother revelation about that now. Right. And maybe Josiah break it down. I'm going to leave that for him. But, and you shall go into Egypt in ships, and from there you shall be sold as bond men and bond women, right? And he said, who are the children of Israel? And I said, we are. Ooh. And that was the seed planted. That was the watering of the seed that was planted from me being a child. Now, then my first attack was Christmas. Because by this time now, I'm like getting some knowledge. I'm getting some understanding. And my dad's church, and my dad had me to come and speak as an inspired minister to give some words. This was around Christmas time. And I exposed to them what I had learned about Christmas. I was pagan, and it had nothing to do with the Messiah. And after I shared, my dad said, everybody clapped, and they kind of looked in amazement like, where did he get this information from? And I said, and my dad said, y'all pray for my son because he's learning, you know, he's a young minister, he's learning. That's what my dad said. So by this time, I'm like, well, I know what I read in the encyclopedia, right? I know I don't see December 25th in the Bible nowhere being the Messiah's birthday. I also know that I don't see nothing about no wise men, 3 wise men at the manger scene, and the drummer boy and all the other things that they told us about. So I stumbled across, and I don't have it today because long story, but I had the Hebrew and Greek Key Study Bible. I had bought it. Went to the Christian bookstore and bought it. And when I bought the book, it had a concordance in the back of it. Strong concordance in the back, Hebrew and Greek lexicon. I didn't know how to use it. So I'm a musician, pastor. So I went to California to West Angeles Church of God in Christ. They're known for their praise and worship. And they had a symposium. I went there and they did the 7 words of praise, right? And as they were doing the 7 words of praise, they started talking about Todah, Shabbat, Barak, Tehillah, Zamar, and all of that. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I said, I never had heard this before. So I took my little notes home, went back to Philly. When I got to Philly, I got my Bible out, and I stumbled across that concordance in the back, and I started seeing those words that they was talking about. And I was like, so I started studying Hebrew. And when I started studying Hebrew, I realized then now how to use the Strong's Concordance. Because for anybody that wants to learn the scriptures, just a basic general getting started, Bible, Strong's Concordance with the Hebrew Greek lexicon, you can go a whole lot of ways with that. So when I got it, I started using it, and I started looking, and then I realized that the Bible was translated from English, from Hebrew to English. And here is the script showing it. Then I stumbled across words: praise, Todah, praise, Yada, praise, Shabbat, praise, Zamar, praise, Tehillah, the song of the Spirit, right? And I was like, And it was getting to me, and I was like, I'm getting something. Now I see all the steps that the Father took me to get me to where I was. And now, one of the last hurdles I got over was, which people are celebrating this week, Good Friday and Easter Sunday morning. So now when I started studying the scriptures, I stumbled across the Messiah's prophecy, where he said that as Jonah was in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. So now I'm counting Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Hey, real quick, can we read that?
Yeah, want to read it? Okay, go ahead.
Is that Matthew 12, is it? Somebody find it. Oh, yeah, I got it. It is 12, yeah. So it's Matthew 12. And, right, Matthew 12, verse 40.
Okay.
Matthew 12 and verse 40.
Okay.
And it reads there, for as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the
Hallelujah. So when I read that, now I'm analytical because I went to school for math. So I was a math major, and so I do spreadsheets and all kinds of things. So I was like, 3 days and 3 nights. When is it? Friday, Sunday.
Right.
Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. It's 3 nights. Saturday day, Sunday day, Monday day. So 3 days. Something's not adding up. 3 days and 3 nights. And then the Messiah said, I think in that same verse, he said, I'll give you the sign. They asked him for a sign.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right? Read that part there, verse 38. Okay. Messiah said, you mind if I get comfortable? I'm kind of sweating. I'm going to come out of my...
I turned from my dad.
Yes, verse 38.
Matthew 12:38?
Yes.
Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Teacher, we will see a sign from you. But he answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
Right. So the scribes and the Pharisees, and I learned this in Church of God in Christ, the scribes and the Pharisees are the religious people of the day. Right? That would have been us, right? They asked for a sign. How can we know that you are the Messiah? And he said, I'll give you a sign of the prophet Jonah. As Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. So when I started studying the Hebrew text, I came to understand that when the Messiah died that week, it wasn't because the tradition was he died before the Sabbath, which was Friday. That's where they get the Good Friday from.
Right.
But if you continue, and if we had time, I would, but I don't want to go ahead and draw it out. You could go and see that it was a high Sabbath, right? That week. It was a high Sabbath.
Read it.
Want to read? Okay, go ahead.
John the 19th chapter. You want to bring out the he was cut off in the midst of the week first?
Right.
You want to do that first?
Okay. Yeah.
We'll do that. Do this now. Let's do the one.
Go ahead and read that, and then I'll go back.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. And
Yeah.
hold your finger on that, though.
Okay.
Okay.
So Daniel the 9th chapter gives the prophecy.
Right. That's ninth chapter. Okay. Start where it says 70. 70 weeks.
Okay.
That's in the 9th chapter, right?
Yep, 9th chapter, 24th verse.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
I need you to come over here since you're going to read.
I'm waiting for everybody to get there.
Oh,
There we go, Daniel 9. So you want me to start at the 24th verse?
yes.
Okay. So Daniel giving this prophecy, he said, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem until the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. Not for himself, right? And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city of sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with flood, and until the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
Right.
And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
So that's the prophecy, and it don't change. So the thing of it is that in Christendom, we're taught the doctrine of the church and not taught how to read, right, and understand or comprehend the text. But the text is self-explanatory. You don't have to ask nobody to explain it to you. It's self-explanatory. The whole prophecy was based, and this is what the Most High, when the Most High gave me the knowledge that I was in Israel, I'm going to tell you how it happened. Okay? In 1990, my dad passed. I was on my way to a musical concert. I was playing for a gospel artist by the name of Timothy Wright from Brooklyn, New York. And I was headed to D.C. to a concert to play. And some kind of way we miscommunicated with each other. And while I was in the car, I heard a voice tell me I was an Israelite. And gave me the name Khazaqyah. I wrote it in my Bible. Gave me the name Khazaqyah, Yaresh, Kabah. I wrote it in my Bible. Prince Israel up in Chicago got that Bible. I got it. He asked me could he have it. I gave it to him, but I had wrote it in the Bible. But it really didn't really make sense to me why I needed a name change. And why was it important to know who Israel was? It didn't make sense to me. So the Most High spoke to me, whether it was audible or not. I'm like, Shaul, I don't know. It's as if somebody was just talking to me face to face. And the voice said, when you study Daniel 9, I'm glad you were there.
Okay.
When you study Daniel 9, study the people, the city,
Right.
and the Bible will open up to you.
Right.
I started studying Daniel the 70 weeks. And as we read, it says 70 weeks are determined upon thy people. So Israel is who we are. And the reason why the Most High wanted me to know we're Israel, because in order for you to understand this book that you carry around like it's an item of your clothes, back then we dressed, suits and ties, alligator shoes and all of that, paisley ties back in the day, and had a Bible with a cover with a design because that was part of our dress attire, right? But the Most High said, study the book, study the people. So the reason why the Most High planted into me that you are an Israelite is because, yes, the seed was planted in you as a child about the sign, one of the signs that I gave you, which is the seventh day. Right? That's the sign that the Most High gave to Israel, is the seventh day. That was the first sign. It was the first sign he gave to creation. We can go to the book of Jasher, book of Jubilees, and all the other books and see how that in heaven they kept the seventh day at creation, from creation. Noah kept the Sabbath day. Adam kept the Sabbath day, Shabbat. Right. Noah kept the Shabbat. Abraham kept the Shabbat. They kept even the feast days before the birth of the nation of Israel. Right. It was kept. It was written on the tablets in heaven, the feast of Yah, the seventh day. That's why the Most High in the creation, when he laid the seventh day, he set this day apart as it was in heaven, right? So that was the day that he gave to creation first. And then later on, if you read the book of Jasher, we won't go into that, but the Most High told the prophet, may I might read a little bit of it quickly. So the Most High told Moshe, I gave this to man, but man rejected it. So now I've chosen your seed to carry this out and to be the priest to the other sons of Adam, to teach them to go back to what was ordained on the day of creation, right? So now, when the Most High began to give that to me, that you are the people, now I begin to understand the captivity that we're in and why we have the struggles. Because now Deuteronomy 28 now made sense. Because if he said, this is going to happen to this people, right? And the prophecy is about this people. This is what explains why, at the time, my thought process was, why is it such a curse to be black? But then the Most High brought it to me in another way and said, the curse is not being black. The curse is because you are a people, right? Israel, that broke the covenant, right? That turned unto other deities. Like he said in Deuteronomy 20, that your fathers have not known. You shall serve the deities of Easter. Right. You shall serve the deities of Good Friday. You shall serve the deities of Christmas and serve the deities of Thanksgiving, right? Etc. Our fathers have not known. And so this is the prophecy. So now I'm like, wow, this whole thing makes a whole lot of sense. Why? It's a curse when you go into the black community. Why are we killing each other? Why everybody else want to kill us? Why is the politics and all of that? Okay, that's in Daniel, where the Most High said that the fourth beast would come and would change laws and times and seasons. Right? January 1st, New Year, he changed the season. And gave us what? April 1st. April Fool, right? Okay? So, he said 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the city. Right. The city. What city? Jerusalem, right? Because the Most High told Israel that he was going to put his name in Jerusalem. Now I got something, revelation I got here. I read this and got it from the book of Jasher. Remember the curse Josiah, when the Most High told, when Noah cursed Canaan? Right, let's read that right quick. Okay, go to Canaan. I'm a little bit everywhere. Please excuse me. I haven't taught in so long. I just feel like I got to get it all.
Right. Don't forget the John 19 you were going
to about. Okay. We're going to go. Okay. All right. So Where I say go to? Where I say go to?
You said something about Canaan. I thought you was quote from Jasher or something.
Right. Oh
yeah.
And the Genesis.
Oh, Genesis.
Genesis 9. Yeah.
Right.
When Noah cursed Canaan, right? I read it in the book of Jasher, and it brought it out, and it helped me to understand Genesis 9 better. Okay. So I'm gonna read. But I want you to tell me what you see.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, Genesis 9, right? See, we need to teach more. We won't have to be so abstract if we teach more, you know.
Right.
Genesis 9. Where is that? Where he said, "Cursed be Canaan."
25.
Okay, go ahead and read that.
Okay. Verse 24.
Okay, yeah. Start at 24.
And Noah woke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Noah speaking, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren."
All right, stop right there for a second. That's profound right there, because people teach this a sin to drink, right? You ever hear that? A sin to drink? But Noah was drunk. And Noah had the power and authority to pronounce a judgment. If it were a sin to be drunk, it would seem like to me that his pronouncement would be null and void because he's drunk, right?
Okay.
But Noah was drunk, and the Most High honored his pronouncing on Canaan. He said, "Cursed be Canaan," right? And the Canaanite curse held the weight that it has, right? Now, just a little footnote. If you go to the book of Jasher, you'll find out why Canaan was cursed. Canaan was wicked. And they knew that he was wicked, and so he actually was supposed to be exterminated. That's why the Most High told Israel to exterminate them. Don't marry them, exterminate them, kill them off, because they were supposed to be. They were actually. I don't want to get way out there, but they were actually off breeds of the fallen, right? They fallen in Genesis, man, way out there. In Genesis, where it said that the sons of heaven, or sons of Elohim, or sons of Yah, saw the daughters of men, and they went into them and took wives and had children. These wives became giants, right? Which we read in Canaan. They were giants in the land, right? Those same people were the children of the intermingle between the Nephilim and the human society. And those giants were the offspring of those Nephilim and those daughters that the Nephilim married. That's why Canaan was wicked, because they were actually descendants of those people. But that's a whole lot of reading there. Okay, now let me get back to where I was. So Noah said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren," right? And he said, "Blessed be Yah, Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant, and Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem." Now, here's the question. This is the revelation. Who is the he? Who is the he? In verse 26 and 27, he said, "Blessed be Yah." So who is that he? He said, "Blessed be Yah, the Elohim of Shem." Who said that? Noah, right? Noah said, "Blessed be Yah, the Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant." Who is the his? If you get who the he is, now the he is one person and the his is somebody else. Huh? So it says, he said, "Blessed be Yah." So Noah said, "Blessed be Yah, the Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant." Right. So who is the his? Y'all didn't get it?
No.
All right, let's read it again. Read it slow. And he, who is the he? Noah, right? He said, "Cursed be Canaan." So Noah said, "Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he, Canaan, be." And he said, Canaan shall be. Wait a minute, hold on, let me back up. He said, Noah said, "Blessed be Yah, Elohim of Shem. And Canaan shall be his servant." Okay? You get it? Who is the his?
Yah's servant?
Right. Right. Canaan is Yah's, not Shem's servant.
Oh, wow.
He's Yah's servant.
Wow.
Well, we understand that Canaan is Yah's servant.
Wow.
The Most High used Canaan to do his work. Because even Satan is Yah's servant. Right? He worked for Yah. We can go to Job, where Job went when Satan went before the Most High and the son and the sons of Elohim. He said, "Have you considered?" He told Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Job was Yah's servant, right? And so all of the humankind on the face of the earth is Yah's servant, whether they are serving him for righteousness or whether they are serving him for wickedness. They are the arm of Yah to bring forth his plan in the earth. His servant. That's powerful. We're not all children of Yah, but we all are servants of Yah. Satan is a servant, right? When you talk about the hand of Yah, right? There's 10 fingers, 5 on each hand, right? There is 10. The Father, the Son, and if we had time, the 7 spirits. How many is that? Father, the Son, and the 7 spirits. So 5 and 2 is what? 7. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, that's 9. The Father, the Son, and the 7 spirits is 9. We got one missing. That makes the hand. Who's the one? Yahshua, we counted them already. Yah, the 7 spirits. We counted that.
Okay.
So we got 9. We got one missing that makes a hand. Satan makes 10. So when you say the hand of Yah, that's his complete operation. Huh? The hand of Yah is Yah's complete operation. Everything that Yah uses, Shaul said, all things work together for the good of them that love Yah. All the things of Yah. Satan is a servant of Yah to bring forth what? The plan of Yah. So Canaan is Yah's servant, not Shem's servant. All right? Okay, now let's continue. I know I said a mouthful. Let's see. So now, Shabbat Shalom. Let's continue. And Yah, here it is again. Next verse 27 says, "And Yah shall enlarge Japheth." See that? So it says Yah, or it says God, or Elohim, shall enlarge Japheth. So who enlarged Japheth? That's right. He enlarged Japheth. Japheth didn't enlarge himself. The Most High, Japheth is Yah's servant. Why? Because the Most High knew that Japheth was going to be enlarged. Because why? The prophecy was that he was going to take Israel from their land of nativity into the land of captivity, into the land of who? The Gentiles.
Right.
And who was Japheth? That's why we got to keep the Gentiles in there, because Gentiles is not talking about the other nations. Right. Gentiles is talking about the sons of Japheth. So it says, Yah shall enlarge Japheth, because the prophecy was that 70 weeks, I'm going to send the children of Israel to the four corners, north, south, east, and west, into the captivity, into their enemies' lands. No matter where we go, we're in our enemies' lands. And the strangers are in our land. Right? So he said, Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he, now who is the he? Huh? And he shall dwell in the tents of Shem.
Right.
That's what we was taught, right? The he is Yah. Yah. Where did he put his dwelling place at? Where Shem dwells, right? He told Israel, I'm gonna choose a city where I'm gonna put my name, right? Where did he put his name? In Israel, right? All that land. And we go to the division of the sons of Shem, we'll find out all that land that's called the land between the rivers that they call the Mesopotamia. It's called the land of Shem. That's the land of Yah. The valley of Jehoshaphat is there, right? The tower where the Most High used the serpent as used the wicked nations as his servants, right, to worship a deity so that he could do what? Scatter the people. If there was no scattering of the people, the prophecy of Israel being taken captive into all nations couldn't come to pass because the people were all together in one place. So to get the people out from the land, the Most High had to do what? He had to scatter them throughout the four corners. That was the preparation ground. So what did Japheth do? Went into isolation, right? Japheth dwelled over in Europa, which is a deity.
Yes.
Right? Which means, I learned from another brother, it means to bind them in the hills. To bind the sons of Japheth in the hills until the time that they came down, right? When the sons of Japheth came down from the hills, it was after the Most High had judged those nations that had Israel in captivity. Who were they? Egypt, right? Babylon, right? Medes, Persians, right? Greeks, right? Romans, right? All those nations were judged. And then the 10 toes, right? Which is what? This united system of the sons of Japheth that are now trying to come together and to, brother did teaching earlier about unifying. See, Satan realized the power of unity. The question is, do we as Israel realize the power of unity? Right? So when we go back to that, and we can read that, and you can go to Jasher, and I recommend those of you that are strong enough, because some people get into a book, and when they read it, they get lost, and they talking crazy next time you see them. But if you can get into the book and take the meat out and throw away the bones, is good. Right? All scripture is given by inspiration, right? So we take the meat off the bones and throw the bone. Don't choke off the bone. We take the meat off the bones, right? So if you go to the book of Jasher, and I didn't bring it with me. I meant to bring it. I got it here. I'll read it for you. Okay. In the book of Jasher, make a little note. You can write a little footnote. You'll find this in, I think it's the 10th chapter as well, I believe.
Thank you.
Or is it 9? I think it's 9. Let me go back. Nine, because these chapters are kind of like they correlate with each other. The book of Jasher and the book of Genesis. You know, for the sake of time, I won't read it, but you can look it up. But it actually, I needed my hard copy because it's hard for me to hold that. But it actually says, Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and Yah shall dwell in the tents of Shem. That's what it says in the book of Jasher, which makes a whole lot different because, see, when we look at that was going to kind of debunk a teaching that Shem is dwelling amongst Hebrews in the lands of captivity. But that basically is saying that Yah is going to dwell in the lands that he gave to the sons of Shem, because after the flood, right? Kind of try to make it a little more elementary. After the flood, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? Each one of the sons, according to Noah, was given land that was their inheritance, right? You can read that in the book of Joshua, you read that in the book of Genesis, in the book of Jubilees, I believe it is. And you can read it also in the works of Josephus, right? So the Most High had given Ham's sons everything on the other side of the river Nile of Egypt. All the land that's on this west side, is that right? East side of the river Nile was given to Shem, right? Everything north was given to Japheth or Japheth, or the white race of people, if you will. And then everything on the east side of the Nile was given to Ham, which would include the interior of Africa, which also includes the western half of Egypt. So the eastmost half of Egypt was also part of the land that the Most High prophesied to Abraham. He said, all that you see, I will give to your seed, right? From the river of Egypt, right, to the river Euphrates. So if you look at the river of Egypt, that is right in the middle of Mizraim north and Nubia south. The river Nile is right in the middle. So everything on the other side, which was also a part of Africa, was the land given to Israel, right? Okay. So when it says the Most High said that he will dwell in the tents of Shem, he's saying all that region, that's the center of the earth, that was given to the sons of Shem, and Yah said that he will dwell there. That's why when we pray, right, what do? We face towards the direction of Jerusalem. Where's the Jerusalem from here? You know which direction?
It's exactly east, yeah.
This way?
I gotta look outside. I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, that's the protocol, because somebody said, well, y'all can hear from anywhere. That's true, but the reality of the matter is we want to be correct according to the manuscript, which says he says to face towards our land and pray, right? I'm gonna go with the Ruach because I know where I'm trying to go, but I feel
okay.
Which way is it? That way. So the Most High said for us to pray. I think it's in the book of Kings and Samuel, right? Where he says
right. First King.
To face our land and pray towards the land, right?
Right.
Because Yah said he's watching over the land, right? So yes, he can hear everywhere, but to be in correct conjunction with his law, we face towards the land where his name is, right? And we pray towards the land, right? So that's why he said, Yah shall dwell in the tents of Shem. See, in Christendom, we down on our knees, praying to the floor, right? We praying to the wall, right? We facing the cross, praying to the cross, everything. But Yah said, face the land and pray towards the land, right? Okay. All right. So it said, Yah said, he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his whose servant? Yah's servant. So everybody is Yah's servant. Shem don't have no servants. And those that serve us in the millennium are Yah's servants, because they're serving us, because after we did our 70 weeks, where the Most High said, let me go here and close it right here. Let's go to John right quick and then I'm closing. All right.
Okay.
Go back to John. Okay. We got here because we were talking about my testimony, which is really not the lesson I was going to do, but I ended up going here, so I'm going to go with it. All right. So anyway, I had something else I was going to do, but let's just roll with it. Roll with the punches, as they say. Okay. So where we at? So we were talking about 3 days. My testimony was the Most High showed me that you can't count 3 days from Good Friday to Easter Sunday morning. You can't do it. And two, think about it now. Wouldn't you be pissed off if you stayed in this Marriott courtyard and paid over $100 a night for 3 days or 3 nights, and they kicked you out after 2 nights? Because it don't matter, because we didn't say you were going to get 3 full nights. And that's the kind of teaching that we all sat up underneath of. Well, they had a different time back then. It wasn't a full day. It was a portion of a day. So you count Friday, and then you count Saturday, and then you count Sunday, because after he rose when the sun rose. So you can count 12 midnight to count that day. Nah, 3 days and 3 nights. Now go ahead. Where we at, John?
Right. So that's the reason why I had you read Daniel 9 to show the prophecy was that he would be cut off in the midst of the week.
Okay.
Which would be Wednesday.
Right. In the middle of the week.
Right. That's why I had you.
Got you.
Okay.
Okay. You did it for me. So y'all got that. So he said the prophecy says in chapter Daniel 9 that the Messiah would be cut off in the middle of the week. Friday is the weekend, right? Right?
Right.
So he couldn't have died on Friday because that's the weekend. The prophecy said that he would die in the middle of the week. Let's read that one more time for good strength. All right. So Daniel, you take this home to your loved ones that's still going to be worshiping Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Show them this. Ask them this simple question. The Messiah said, 9:26.
Yeah.
After 62 weeks, right? So now you got to understand, right? What is a week, right? A week, you can go. That's why these other books.
Twofold prophecy.
Yeah. Yeah, twofold.
Right.
The weeks, right? Exactly. Right. The middle of the 7 years as well as the middle of the little week.
Yeah.
Twofold, right?
Correct.
Because the 7 is Jubilee. 7 sevens, which goes to 49, which on the day of Pentecost, which is the 50th year, the year of Jubilee, which is 50, which is where we're going after this feast. We're going from Passover, the Feast of Weeks, 7 sevens, and then the 50th day, which is the day of Shabbat, which means the day of what? Filling. Right? Because when Ezekiel saw the vision, the Most High said, speak to the wind. Right? That's the day of the filling. That's the day that when the Most High will take and put breath back into Israel. And every year we come around to Shabbat and we celebrate Shabbat. We speak it to the wind. Another one's coming up. Another one's resurrecting from the dead. Every time we come around to that 50th day. But to say here, so the Messiah in the middle of the prophetic week, which is 7 years, in the midst of the week, which is 7 days, right? In the middle. So Yeshua died 3.5 years into his ministry, right? And in the middle of the little week is when he died. Not at the end of the week. Right. But in the middle, right? Because he was 33 and a half years old when he died. And when he started his ministry? He was at age 30, right? Right. At age 30. Right. So 33 and a half. So Yeshua died because there's so much prophecy in it. He said, in 7, he would confirm a covenant for 1 week. Right. But he was cut off before the 7 was completed. Right. So before 7 years completed, right, he was cut off in the middle of that. So in the middle of the week, he was cut off, and he was cut off in the middle of his ministry of 7 years on the earth. 7 is what? The number of completion, right? 7th day, right? So this is what this is saying. In the middle, right, of the week, the Messiah was cut off, but he shall confirm. See, they got us looking for another Messiah coming. An anti-Messiah is a whole nother lesson. Ain't no other anti-Messiah coming. The Messiah already fulfilled that he would confirm. Okay? If you look this word up, confirm, right? Let me do this right quick. I'm trying to get out of here, guys. Let's see. Confirm. Look at the word confirm. Write this down. Check it out. Daniel 9:27. The word confirm is the word gabar. Gabar. It means to prevail, to act insolently. Right? Think about that now. To prevail. So Yahshua confirmed or prevailed the covenant that the Most High promised to the first man Adam. He said, when Adam disobeyed the Most High, he told Adam what? He said, I will cause enmity between your seed and her seed, right? And he said, and your seed shall bruise his heel. We go to Revelations 12. The revelation of the woman, right? The red dragon, right? Yeah. And then the woman was who? Israel. And the woman had what?
12 stars.
12 stars, right? And then out of that nation came who? Who came out of that nation, the 12? Right, the man-child, who was the ruler of nations with the rod of iron, right? So there you have it. So now, through that, the Messiah came as was prophesied through that time, right? Now, he confirmed the covenant, which is where we get in Christendom. We got so much stuff that we was taught we got to unlearn. 7-year tribulation. It's not even in the... It doesn't make sense. It's only 3.5 years. Right? And I learned that from Josiah years ago. Times and times and times and a half time. Right? So it's not 7-year tribulation.
Right.
3.5 years. Everything is because the Messiah, just as he did, just as he are, so are we. He was cut off in the middle of it. Right. We're going to be cut off in the middle and be gathered from the lands where we were scattered. In the middle of that, huh? Woo! And then when the Messiah comes back, we get to the end of the year in feast. We talk about the gathering of Israel and where the day of Yah comes, where he going to judge the nations, the valley of Jehoshaphat, right. Where the enemies of Israel are going to become, they are already Yah's enemies. He said, I'm going to put the curses that was on you, I'm going to put them on them. And they, Joel 3 said, I'm going to take you down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And I'm going to judge the nations for my heritage. See, we are so special to the Most High, right? As long as we may be, and as much as we may battle with each other, Israel the same yesterday, today. But yet still, Brother Wayman, unity, you know? Why is there no unity? Because Israel won't obey, right? Every man's way is right in his own eyes. Right. Let's come together. Let's, what did the prophet say? Gather yourself together. Oh, nation not desired. Why are we not desired? That's the question we got to ask, right? Why are we not desired? Okay, so now, did we finish John?
No, we didn't read John.
Okay, go to John, and I'm going to sit down, okay? All right.
So again, you were explaining concerning how they think it's Friday. Friday, the Easter Sunday, because they think that it was a weekly Sabbath. Right. That he rose after a weekly Sabbath.
Exactly. Okay. So the Messiah did not, repeat after me, did not die on Good Friday.
Good Friday, right.
Good Friday's a lie.
Right.
Matter of fact, if we go and deal with Good Friday, we'll give you the real root behind what Friday is all about. But that's for another day. Right. Okay, go ahead, read that, and I'm going to take my seat.
Well, it's two places here.
Okay, he's going to take us to two places.
First place is John, the 19th chapter, and the 14th verse.
Okay, go ahead.
The 14th verse it says, and it was the preparation of the Passover.
Preparation of the Passover. Yep.
Right. And about the 6th hour, and he said unto the Yahudi, or Jews, behold your king.
Go ahead. So what Josiah is saying is, to make it real simple, it was the preparation of the Passover, which is what we are keeping this weekend. Right. So the Messiah died, right? The preparation, the Passover, right? And he died, and I need you to come and take this, man. But
in the midst of the week.
Yeah, in the midst of the week.
What we would call Wednesday. Right.
And there it is. And so now when you count your 3 days and 3 nights, you can do the math, and you can count your 3 days and 3 nights, and then complete the prophecy that the Most High said through the Son, that this is the sign.
Right.
When we get the sign, that's why we don't celebrate Easter, because if you look at it, Easter is not in conjunction with the Passover. This week they just happen to got, like Brother Bowie said, lucky.
Lucky, yeah.
Right? But next year, Passover and Easter ain't gonna be synced together.
Right.
Because they follow the new moon. So the first Sunday after the full moon, the first Monday after the full moon in the spring equinox is Easter.
Right.
But Easter, and Josiah tell you this better than me, the New Year sign, what's the sign of the New Year?
A bid.
A bid. And what does the bid mean?
Green ear.
Green ear. So you can't have Passover if there's no green ear.
Right. Or first month of the year.
The first month of the year. So it's got to be in sync, in conjunction with the new moon, right? As according to the law says 10 days after the new moon, you shall bring the lamb, right? According to your house. And then on the 14th day at what? Even.
Right.
You shall kill it. And then you shall eat it. Eat it in haste. And then eat it with unleavened bread.
Right.
Right? And that completes it. So now where are we? We are this particular year, from a technical standpoint, it will be a Good Friday, but it won't be Easter Sunday. Right? So the resurrection, because if you go in further, I'm going to let you do this, but you go further, you talk about after the resurrection, you got the waving of the sheaf, right? And then after the waving of the sheet, you count 7 Sabbaths, right? And what was the other verse you want to go to? Because I can go somewhere else.
It's just a confirmation of what we just read in John 19, and further down at the 31st verse, it says, John 19 said, and the Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation, so we already read preparation of Passover, but they don't say it here, and that's where they get messed up at.
Yeah.
Because they think preparation is Friday before the Sabbath.
Right.
The 6-day preparation before the Sabbath.
Okay.
But we already read it's the preparation of Passover, that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, and that will confuse them again because it's not the weekly Sabbath, and that's what we're about to say. For that Sabbath was a high day.
Okay, stop there.
Right.
So if that Sabbath that was a preparation for that Sabbath was a high day, is the 7th day a high day? It's a weekly Sabbath.
Right.
So that Sabbath, what he's reading, was a high Sabbath that the Messiah died, which was a preparation day for the Passover, which is what he's bringing out. It was a preparation day. That year, and if you do, I'm analytical, anybody else analytical can do it. You can go on the internet and look at a moon calendar. And you can go all the way back to the year that the Messiah died. And that year you'll find out that he died. That Passover, preparation Passover, was in the middle of the week. I did it years ago. I was like, wow, that computer is detailed. It takes you all the way back to the year the Messiah died and shows you that if you count back to the new moon and you count the 14th day at even, bam, it's right in the middle of the week on that year. Exactly in the middle.
Count that middle of the week to the resurrection. Count it out. Count out the middle of the week and went into the grave, into the heart of the earth. Count that 3 days and 3 nights.
Okay. Now, I ain't did that in a while, but okay, real quick.
You got to count the night first, because you went in before the sun.
So here's the question. We got the days of number, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are pagan deities, right? Israel didn't call those on those deities, but for the sake of it, we'll do that, okay? So first day starts when?
Sunday.
Okay, but when does it officially start?
At sundown, at the end of Saturday.
At the end of the Shabbat,
like
right?
A few hours.
Right. So in the Hebrew calendar, the day begins in the evening, right?
Sunset,
the evening and the morning is the first day. So first day starts at the end of the Shabbat. So if you got 7 days in the week, the middle of the week, you have to add, okay, who's mathematically sound? How many hours is there in a week?
24 times 7, 28, 14, 168.
168, right? So now,
I suppose we got a pause. I might be wrong. Let me look. I might be wrong. Okay.
so 48, 24, right? This thing don't want to cooperate with me here. 24 times 7 is, you said what?
168.
168. The middle of 168 is the middle of the week, the literal middle of the week.
Right.
So if you divide 168 by 2, right? What is it?
84.
Okay, divided by 2, and it's 84. So the 84th hour is the literal middle of the week, right? And when Yahshua gave up the ghost, it was at that 84th hour, which if you count, if you do, say, the first hour would be, let's just use a number, 6 o'clock when the sun goes down, right? So if you count 12 hours from 6, so tomorrow morning will be 12 hours, right? So Monday at the going down of the sun will be what? How many hours is that?
You made it hard.
I made it hard.
You
Okay.
made it hard.
I'm sorry. Okay. Anybody here math people like me? No. Okay. Please excuse me. All right. All right. Let's make it simple. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So we already determined that 84 is the middle, right?
Right.
Okay.
Or that Wednesday is the middle of the week.
Okay. Right. So 3.5 times 2 is 7, right? Is that easy? That's half.
Okay.
3.5. So the third day at the half of the third day,
Okay.
right? Which so first day is what? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right?
Right.
Right?
3 days. Right.
Half of that would be going down
Right.
the sun, right? So that would be the going down of the sun, which would be first, second, third. First, okay, let's do it this way. First,
Go from Wednesday.
huh?
Just go from Wednesday.
Right.
Right, okay. No, I'm trying because see, the evening portion starts first.
Right, yeah, but if you do it from Wednesday, it makes it easier for us to understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the thing is that we know that he died on a Wednesday,
Right.
what we call a Wednesday.
Right.
But the key is that he went into the grave
Right.
in that evening.
In the evening, right.
At sundown.
Exactly, right.
So you count the night first.
Got you.
Right. So when you
Okay.
count that night first, it goes, you can go from there.
Okay. Did everybody get that?
Right.
Because I would have made it more complicated.
Right.
So Wednesday night, Thursday night,
Right.
Friday night.
Right.
3 nights.
Okay.
And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
Huh? Right, Shabbat. So which means that when the sun's going down, like the sun's going down now, he came up out the earth at the end of the Shabbat.
Right.
Because when the people got there while it was yet dark, they didn't see him rise. He was already gone. So if it says 3 days and 3 nights, that's equal. Meaning that whatever time you went in the grave, it's the same time you came out the grave. You understand? Does that make sense? The same time you went in, it's the same time you went out. So they had his body up there on the Wednesday, and they said they couldn't leave his body up there because the next day was the Sabbath day. So they took his body down and made sure he was buried before the sun went down. So that's why you count the night first. You don't count the day because he was up on the cross all day that day. So you count the night first.
Right.
Right.
Nice.
Wednesday at evening. Thursday evening. Friday at evening. And then for the day part, it would be Thursday,
Day,
Friday, Saturday.
Right. So the same time, about the time the sun is about to go down, he comes up out that grave. 3 days, 3 nights, right.
Okay. No, I'm just.
And that's why he said, my hour has come.
Right.
My hour.
So he fulfilled the prophecy because when he resurrected, right? You know, they got this last 7 words.
Yeah.
Messiah was around 40 days after that. And he had a whole lot to say after
Right.
40 days. He met him in Galilee and everything. So the last 7 words, can't scratch that because he had a whole lot to say. The 40, 10 days before Pentecost was when he was ascended up into heaven in the cloud. Because the 10 was for us, the hand. Right? That's a whole nother lesson. I don't want to get out there. But the Messiah was seen, it says, of them 40 days. Right? Mm-hmm. And when he was seen of them 40 days, he explained to them Daniel 9, which we're talking about, right? Where he said it must be, all the things in the scripture pertaining to him must be fulfilled, right? That's when people read Matthew 5, when they say the law, the Messiah fulfilled the law. They take that to mean we don't have to obey the law. He nailed it to the tree. He fulfilled the law. But no, what the Messiah was saying, he fulfilled the law that was according to Daniel's 70 week. The law that pertained to him that said that he would be cut off in the middle of the week, right? In the middle of the week of the week of years, right? So, everybody clear? Anybody got any questions before I take my seat? I didn't do my lesson, so that was a lesson on. I was giving my testimony, but anyway, I pray that you all got something out of it.
I have a question. When Yeshua went to hell, took the keys, and he released everyone in hell. Did he release everyone?
Okay, wait. Say it again, so everybody can hear what you're asking. That's a deep question. Okay, we'll go to the scripture too.
Okay. When Yeshua went to the cross, died, rose, and he went to hell and overcame it, did he release everyone in hell?
Okay. All right, give me the text where that scenario is, and then we'll deal with it from there. You know where it's found? Okay, Josiah, you know where it's off the top of your head?
I don't know where it's found.
Okay, wait a minute. I know because where it said that they walked the streets. Let me see. Hold on. See if I can find it real quick. If anybody knows what it is, real quick, find it.
Oh, the Matthew? Yeah.
Really?
I forgot where it
Is it Matthews? You know where it is, honey? Okay, let's see.
Yeah, they were like, the dead was walking around.
Like that. Is that Matthews? Okay, but I think a lot of times we're taking two because I know where you're going and I know what that says. So he ministered to the spirits in prison. That's somewhere. I think that's Peter, isn't it?
Was that something that you had read, sister?
Acts 2:31. Okay, read that. See what it says.
Sound like that was Peter. That sounded like it was something in Peter, actually. Let me see.
I think it said somebody ministered to the spirits that was in prison who were sometimes disobedient, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
That's yeah, 1 Peter.
Yeah.
1 Peter 3:19.
Yep.
Okay. Let's read verse 18. For the Messiah also had once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us unto Yah, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison. Okay. Which sometimes were disobedient when once the long suffering of Yah waited in those days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein a few, that is 8 souls, were saved by water. Okay. But the figure where until even baptism doth now also save us, not the putting away of filth of the flesh, but answer of good conscience towards Yah by the resurrection of Yahshua the Messiah. So now, what is that saying? What does that say to you?
I guess that you ministered to them, gave them the opportunity to be saved.
Oh, okay. I hear what you're saying, and I know the doctrine because I taught it in Koji. But but where does it say that? The intent or the thought process of it sounds right, but does it actually really say that?
No.
By which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison. Okay, so now let's just do this here. Let's do a exegesic of these words. Let's see. Preach is the word caruso, which means a herald or a public crier, one especially a divine truth. So he preached to the spirits. The spirit is the word pneuma, which is equivalent to the Hebrew word ruach, which means the breath, current breath, breeze, spirit, or soul. Right? Now, see, that's another thing. Christendom, they teach man is a body that has a soul, man is a spirit that has a body that has a soul, something like that. So you got three parts. And not true. Okay, but anyway, he preached unto the spirits in prison. The word here for prison is the word feluke. It's a guarding or a guard or an act of a person figuring the place, the condition, or the time as a division of day or night, literally or figuratively. So that's not saying hell. For hell, you would have the word, what is it, Gehenna?
Right.
For hell.
Sheol.
Sheol. But Sheol is in the Hebrew, right?
Right.
The Gehenna
Right.
is in the
right.
Greek. But the word prison there is the word feluke, which was translated cage, hole, prison. Right? Okay, so think about that. He preached to the spirits in prison. So we have to analyze that and see where were the spirits in prison. Was that a literal, tangible place, or is that a spiritual place? Because people are in prison, as we've learned, Malcolm X, in prison in their mind. Huh? The prison? What does it say there?
I'm asking you.
Oh,
Is that what you think about?
well, that's what I was saying. The word for prison is the word fuleki, which is talking about, it wasn't translated grave at all or holding place. It was translated, or the definition, it says a place or the condition. So prison is a condition of the mind. Bondage. What Shaul said, that came to me. Shaul said, through the fear of death were they subject to bondage. So the prison is the bondage of sin. Right? Because what did Yahshua do? When Yahshua went to the temple, I see a hand, hold on a second. When Yahshua said, you got something you want to read?
Well, no, actually, I was not to take away from her question, because I see. Was this the passage that had you can ask that question? This was the passage. Mm-hmm. My question was: is this who's being spoken to in this entire chapter?
Gotcha.
That was what I was, because
okay.
To me that would help answer not just her question but mine too, because I don't know who's being spoken to. I don't know if this is by which he also went and preached unto the spirits in prison. Is that Peter saying he also went and preached unto the spirits in prison, or is he speaking of the Messiah doing that?
Good question.
So that would be my question, like who's being spoken to in this chapter?
I like that. Okay, I got you, but that's why I was going to what the Messiah taught. When he went into the temple to read, he came to the prophet passage of Yoshiyahu, Isaiah, said, the Spirit of Yah is upon me, right? For he has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor, right? So all of that talking about, if you continue reading that, right, is talking about those that are bound, to set at liberty. That's it. To set at liberty to those who are bound, right? Right? Isn't that what it says? Because this we have to define where is the prison that he preached to the spirits that were in prison. Right? Where's the prison?
But it goes into something,
Go ahead.
in the 4th chapter it goes
Go
into
ahead.
something. I have not read it yet to remember it. Let's see if that helps. In the 4th chapter it says, I'm sorry, verse 1. It says, for as much then as Messiah has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. So he that has suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin. But he that has suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin. That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but the will of Elohim. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles. When we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revels, banquets, and abominable idolatry, when they think it's strange that you run not with them to the same access of riot, speaking evil of you, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead. Now here it is. It says, for this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to the Elohim of the Spirit. So, when you talk about dead, it's not talking about a physical dead. It's referring to a spiritual dead. Because the scripture is very clear that when we die in Ecclesiastes, our thoughts perish. We don't, whatever good we had, whatever evil we had, it all perished. There's nothing there. You're dead. You're asleep. There's nothing else there until the resurrection. That's what, so we got, the thing is, when we read something, we have to go to other scriptures, and especially in the law, to explain, help us figure out what's written here, if that makes sense. Okay? Because if somebody don't understand that the dead is dead, all their works, their thoughts, everything perished, if they don't understand that according to what the scriptures say, because we're reading a letter here, written by Peter here. So he understood that as well, if that makes any sense. So because he understood it, and because the word said, we can, by process of elimination, know what it's not. If that makes sense. For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to Elohim in the spirit. But the end of all things is at hand, be therefore sober and watch unto prayer. So the language that Peter was speaking is kind of like, he was almost sounding like Paul a little bit in that European, but we know what it's not. It couldn't be dead in the flesh, because it would have to be dead in the spirit. Because you only preach to someone that has the opportunity to repent and to do right. And the dead has no opportunity to repent and to do right.
So yes, that does make sense.
Okay.
And then the other part to that is the spirits, because like you just broke it down, you explained, but Yahshua said, my words is spirit and life, right? So when he preached to those that were dead, right? And Paul, even Shaul said that they were dead in trespasses, right? But have he quickened? Right?
Colossians 2.
Yeah. So that is preaching to those prisons, those who were walking dead, not the literal walking dead coming out of the graves as we taught, which is Greek mythology, but the actual those who are dead in the spirit, that the word, the spirit gives life. I think it says something like that, right? And the spirit, they said the letter killeth, but the spirit gives life, right? So that's what he's talking about. Because nowhere in that is there an implication that Yahshua went into hell. Right? Because it doesn't say in hell in that passage, right? Okay.
Okay, and so again, and read this again, put it in from the beginning. In verse 3 it says, for the time past of our life
Gotcha.
may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles. You didn't know who you were.
Right. You were
You
dead.
didn't have no understanding.
Right.
You did what?
Right. Walked after the Gentiles.
Traditions, everything.
Yeah.
How the Gentiles think, the philosophies, everything. That's what you did. When we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, false worship. Right? This says, here's the thing, wherein they think it strange that you run not with them to the same access of riots, speaking evil of you. So now you have been cleaned up. But these same people that perhaps knew you in the past, when you was running with them, they think it's strange that you're not continuing your previous walk, the stuff that you used to do, right? And they speak evil of you. Okay. So the way he worded this it sounded kind of funny, but we got to keep that in mind that just like he was quoting Colossians, it's the same thing.
Right.
You are a new creature.
Yeah.
But what he's about to deal with now is how you deal with being judged by them. So he says here, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge, verse 5, the quick and the dead. For this cause will the gospel preach also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to Elohim in the spirit. So therefore, being preached to with the word,
Right.
we have the energy or the power to withstand against those that would judge us unrighteously. That's basically all he's basically saying. That's basically all he's pretty much saying, Right. That makes sense.
Not really care about it, just let it roll off.
Right. Because we're walking different than what they do, but they're judging us, speaking evil of us, because we're not doing the same thing they do. Right. So that's why I say again, verse 6, well, this call was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to Elohim in the spirit. But the end of all things at hand, be therefore sober and watch unto prayer. So those that would judge you unrighteously, they have also been preached to.
Gotcha.
See that the word is spoken to them just like it was spoken to you. So they have to stand in their convictions by they speaking evil of you. And we have to know that we can't lose sight of what the Father had brought for us to do. That kind of makes sense. I'm kind of bringing it from the very beginning because it don't make no strange turn. It's still talking in the same vein of what he was talking about previously. But if you don't understand the first 3 verses, you will shot. If you started at that one verse, it'll sound like something completely different. Right. And like I said, the way he worded it may sound kind of strange, but he was very consistent in talking about basically the new creature in the Messiah that's walking right, and those who are judging you unjustly. Right. So they have to be preached to too. Right.
So not the literal dead, but the spiritual dead.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that is in conjunction with he preached to the spirits in prison, right? You got something else in that? Now, I wanted to wrap it up with Luke, which is the quotation of Isaiah, which brings it home. So we go to Luke 4:18. This is what that is in conjunction, because Shaul explained what Shimon was saying, right? And they only knew what they knew because Yahshua was the one that gave it to them, right? So, and the Most High. Okay, so now in Luke, and this is a reduplication. This is actually reading from Isaiah or Yoshiyahu, verse 18 says, "The Spirit of Yah is upon me." Right?
Oh, okay.
4:18. Because he hath anointed me, right, to preach the gospel to the poor. Right? Now, the King James translation changes the meaning. To understand it, you got to go to Isaiah and read it, because they put a different word there. It's kind of that Greek translation put a spin on it, which kind of changes the whole thought process. But you'll understand if you go back to Isaiah and read it, right? All right. But anyway, I'll read it the way it says. But he have sent me to heal the brokenhearted and to preach deliverance to the captives. See that? The captives in the Greek word akmalatos. It means a prisoner of war. See? He preached to the spirits in prison, a prisoner of war, prison to sin. Like Shaul said, all their days they were fear of death. They were subject to bondage through the fear of death, right? And then what Shaul said in one of his letters, they were subject to bondage due to the fear of death, right? Okay, so he preached deliverance to the captives, or to those who were prisoners of war, prisoners of the war of sin. Shaul said something else, that the spirit wars against the flesh, right? That's the war. That's the prison. The good that I would do, that I can't do, but that I don't want to do. So the deliverance to the captives is the prisoners, and to recovering of the sight, right? Restoring the sight, which is what Josiah was just sharing, to those who are spiritually blind. When we came to this walk, we could see what's wrong. What's wrong with Easter? You know, why y'all don't celebrate the Messiah's birthday December 25th? We couldn't see that. But when that which is complete comes, that which is in part is done away. What is that which is complete comes? The revelation, knowledge of the truth, which is what? The resurrection from the dead. And now you can see the doctrines that you learned was the doctrines of the dead. Right? They lodge in graves, in monuments, right? And eating the swine's flesh and the broth of the abominable thing, right? But now we come into the knowledge of the truth. Our eyes is open, and we now tell everybody, that's wrong. It says in the Bible, don't do that. Don't. And they're like, what's wrong with you? What caught you in?
Right.
Because you've been resurrected from the dead. Your mind has been freed from prison, and you've been put into the life of the land of the living. That's what he preached to the spirits. Everybody couldn't get with his doctrine. Remember the woman at the well? She was down there and yeah, you said, y'all people said y'all worship him on the mountain. I mean worship in Jerusalem. We worship on the mountains, right? Our fathers worship on the mountains, right? Yahshua said, wait a minute, you don't even know what you worship. Salvation's of the Israelite. So what the Christianity do? They try to tell us we're not in the truth because you're not a Christian. Huh? That's the doctrine of those who are dead. Right? But when we are resurrected into life, that's what Yahshua is. This another symbolism of Yahshua dying, because he had to take on sinful flesh to die, literally, to resurrect spiritually and eternally. So that was the symbolism of his death, right? And so when he preached, he didn't go into hell and I was in the Word of Faith movement too. Taught that Jesus went into hell and preached. to those who was in hell. He told them, get up. And he led captivity captive, and he took them on high, and set it up. Yeah, we did it. But that's not what they're saying. But it looks good and it sounds good. I mean, right. people hanging off the chandeliers and whatnot. People throwing money on the altar, creflo. You know what I'm saying? But see, I did it. I was in the word of faith. But when Shaul said that which is in part, when that which is in part is done away, that which is complete or whole, the understanding, the awakening from the dead to life come, then that which is in part is done away. Now we see through a glass darkly, Shaul said. But now we see. We knew in part. We prophesied while we were in Christianity. We knew in part, we prophesied in part, but now we getting that proper application of what the knowledge of the scripture is saying. Now we're prophesying complete and whole and sound, right? So he said, the recovering of the sight to the blind, and to set at liberty to them who are bruised, right? And to preach the acceptable year of Yah. And that doesn't come until the end, the gathering, the acceptable year. Because that's the day of Yah, when Yah comes and turns the world over upside down. When the nations become, one of the songs as a kid, I'm going to take my seat, I'm really going to take my seat this time. When I was a kid, we sang to Handel's Messiah, and it was so profound, where it said, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of, right? Y'all know the song, right? That's what's happening. When the Messiah comes back after the seventh trumpet, now we're getting off into the trumpets now. The last trump, when the last trumpet is sounded, that's when he gathers the elect from the four corners, the first fruits. We talked about it earlier, Josiah. We got the first fruits, and then we got the great harvest. Yahshua, I got it from you. Yahshua being the first fruits, I'll give Josiah credit. Yahshua being the first fruits of them that slept, right? And we become Yahshua's first fruits, those of us who are the elect. And then after us comes what? The great harvest, right? So you go from Yahshua, boom. Except the corn of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it abides alone, but when it dies, it brings forth fruit. We're what? Yahshua's first fruit. That's why when you go amongst the masses and say, we Israel, like, what planet you fell off of? They're not part of the first fruits. But when the first fruits is gathered, the elect, Yahshua, Matthew 24, gather elect from the four corners, 144,000. And then the number that no man has saw of every nation. Isaiah talks about that the nations will, the ships shall come from afar, right? And shall bring your sons and daughters from afar, even the strangers, right? That's when the Messiah returns, after he deals with his cabinet to rule the nations. He goes now and grabs those that are left of the house of Israel first, and then the other nations that embrace the covenant, right? So, whew, any other questions? I ain't done this in a long time.
Yes.
You got that handkerchief up there?
But it's the thing of it is that it's so much that we've lost, because when Israel went into captivity, the covenant went into captivity. Right? And so now, when you go back to Ezekiel, right? All right, real quick, last place. I promise you. Okay, this is the part I like right here. The valley I kind of talked about a little bit. Ezekiel 37. Khazaqyah 37. And we hear, when I was in the church, we used to hear this. And it make you feel good when you hear it. But if this always was used talking about a dead church, right? The hand of Yah, this is Ezekiel 31 and 37 and 1. I'm going to read it fast. Expedite it. Yah, the hand of Yah was upon me and carried me out into the spirit of Yah and sent me down in the midst of the valley. This is talking about those spirits that are in prison. In the midst of the valley, which is full of bones. And caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in an open valley, and lo, they were very dry. He said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? Right? And I answered, Oh Yah, you know. Again he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of Yah. Thus said Yah unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath. Huh? Because when the Most High, when the breath is gone, what happens? You're dead. Huh? Because when the Most High formed Adam of the dust of the ground, he was just a piece of clay sitting there. But when the Most High breathed into his nostrils, he stood up on his feet.
Right.
He had life. That's what this word does. That's what it did to me.
Yes.
That's why when I was a kid, and I would hear the word, I would just cry. I was crying for knowledge and understanding. And the Most High met me. I'm getting choked up. Woo! I'm telling you, when I was hungry, the Messiah said he hungers and thirsts after righteousness shall be filled. So the Most High knew that you and I were thirsty for the living word of Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
But nothing could satisfy the thirst. Yah said, he that believe on me, Yahshua said, as the scriptures say, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living waters. We thirsted. That's why when Yahshua died, what did he say? I thirst. There's a famine in the land, brothers and sisters. Excuse me. I know we left that emotional in the church, but man, I'll tell you, something came over me. The thirst, the more we went into our regular circles, we were thirsty for it. And like the prophet Isaiah he was looking for the Most High to move. It didn't come in the wind, right?
Right.
But he came in the still small voice. And that's how we have come into the knowledge. Little by little, the Most High has put us before the right person that dropped the nugget. And it germinated in us. And the more we would hear the fables, the more it would agitate us. You're hungry, you want a meal, right? You want to go to a fabulous restaurant. You don't want to go to McDonald's or Burger King, right? You want to go to Houston's down here. They got Houston's down here. Ruth Chris. Morton Steakhouse. Those y'all like steaks. You don't want to go to McDonald's, you know. So we going into the house looking for for a meal, and they're giving us a Happy Meal. And so you're starving, right? And that was what my story was. But here's what the prophet said. He went down to the valley. I can't even see. And said, Son of man, can these bones live? The more we talk to our family I mean, it's nothing that in Josiah we can testify. We've been in this walk for a while now. When you first come to this knowledge, you run into the family. Yeah, we teach y'all the truth, and you know they're gonna receive you, and the only to get slapped in your face. And they won't talk about you to your face. Talk about you behind your back. She's in a cult. He's in a cult. They brainwash. They one of them black Hebrews. And then they'll find somebody that they can reference us to on the internet. See, they one of them. Right. Instead of judging us on the basis of what the scripture's saying. The Most High said, he says, can these bones live? And I answered, so yeah, you know us. And again, he said, prophesy to these bones. So the more we go to him, my ear shall tell you, Facebook, she's posting up. As long as you putting stuff up on Facebook, pictures of you holding the hands with Mickey Mouse, you got all these likes, everybody like, yeah, that's right, pretty. You put something up, sound, Happy New Year, nobody said nothing. Crickets. And I do it. I used to do it from time to time. I put something up spiritually, nobody respond. I put something up dumb, everybody respond. Everybody in the world respond. Right. So you know they watching you, right? Right. So when you are coming to share this truth, they looking at you like, I don't want no parts of that. But that's because they're dead. Right? They're dead to the knowledge of the truth, right? So he said to me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of Yah. The more we go to them, the more we prophesy to them. That's how I came to the truth. That's why I got all choked up, because you reject it, somebody come, bam, they walk away. Somebody else come, bam, walk away. You see something on TV, Alex Haley's Roots. Yeah. Wait a minute. Right. You watch Amistad, and you hear the guys on the ship saying, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Right. You're like, yeah. Those Africans are saying Yahweh. Yeah. Then you hear the girls on the other side say, oh, Yah, Yah, Yah. Oh, Yah, Yah, Yah. Right? And then we learn the song, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, right? And we learn it all little by little. The Most High is exposing us to more and more knowledge of truth. And then, bam, the revelation hits you, as a friend of mine in English says, the penny drop. And you're like, wow, did you see that? You see what they're saying? Right. And you're excited. You're going all over. And nobody want to talk now. Come over here, upset the family. Talking all that Yah stuff. Yahshua, all that. Just tell me good. Jesus is the reason for the season. And then you get discouraged because, but don't get discouraged because the Most High told the prophet, he said, prophesy to these bones, say to them, ye dry bones, hear the word of Yah. Thus saith Yah unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to you and enter into you, and you shall live. That's what we say to them. We say, oh, Yah gonna wake you up. You're not in the truth, but Yah gonna wake you. You're like, yeah, you crazy. Sister Pat, you crazy. You should go back to the church. You used to know the Lord. And he said, thus says Yah, verse 5, to these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. See that? And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring upon flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am Yah. So what did Yahshua do? Went to those who was in prison, spoke to them, put breath in them, brought them back to life. He went and preached to the spirits in prison, those who were sometime disobedient, like in the days of Noah, right? Isn't that what it said? They were disobedient. They knew, Paul said in Romans 1, that they which that knew Yah did not glorify Yah, but glorified the creature rather than the creator. Right? For this cause, right, Yah sent the flood, destroyed them, right? In the days of Noah. He spared Noah and his 3 sons, right?
Man, you hit it.
Huh?
That's